I got friends that I know that I'm only gonna hear from in a time of need. I got friends that hit me up when it's been a long time they ain't heard from me. I got friends that will just be cool if I make that call and tell him it's peak. If he puts you on a shirt, he did it for me, it's a loyalty. I got friends that won't go anywhere else, she calls me the TBE. I got friends that I call my G, couple day ones with me. I got friends that started out like that, but she turned into a queen. Back in the palace ain't where you find my royalty.
Max out. The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros. Does Beterbiev's atypical findings raise suspicion about his perfect KO ratio? Now, Eddie Hearn had a lot to say. He was screaming from the mountaintop about Artur Beterbiev's atypical finding, and someone who knows a thing or two about cheating in the sports is Victor Conti, and he chimed in on social media. So we're going to take a look at the exchange between Eddie Hearn and Victor Conti. So hold on, this is not sharing the way I wanted it to. All right, give me a second. I think this is. Hold on, let's see some. No, that's not it. This is it. All right, here we go. So here's what Victor Conti had to say on Twitter. He said, does anyone see the hypocrisy of Eddie Hearn asking for more science about Beterbiev atypical results, not positive, when his own boxer at Nigel, which is Conor Ben, has not been willing to provide any science he supposedly has for 2 positive drug tests? And you see, he added Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, and VADA testing. So he found that to be a little suspicious and a bit hypocritical. And so, of course, we're talking about Eddie Hearn here. So you know Eddie Hearn was not going to let that go. Here's what Eddie Hearn had to say. Well, actually, not what Eddie Hearn had to say, but Victor Conti goes on to add. So this is what Victor Conti went on to add on Twitter. He said, boxing was informed of the first positive drug test by Conor Ben for clomiphene in July 2022 and was made public September 2022. It is now January 2024. It's been 16 months since the first reported and still no reasonable explanation. Broke system. And of course, he adds Eddie Hearn and everyone. So this is when Eddie Hearn responds to Victor Conti. So this is what Eddie Hearn had to say after Victor Conti put up all those messages. Oop, nah, that's not it. My bad. I had to go through so many of these tweets, so bear with me for a second. All right. I think this is what Eddie Hearn had to say right here. Yeah. So this is what Eddie Hearn had to say. Eddie Hearn said, you've got some front. You talk about hypocrisy when you are one of the most prolific drug cheats in the history of the sport, not the sport, but of sport, period. Crimea River, Bellend, which that's a serious diss, especially coming from someone from the UK. So, and then Victor Conti responded. I believe this is it. So then Victor Conti responded, so at Eddie Hearn is now name calling instead of responding to my questions. Once again, yes or no, have any at Matchroom Boxing boxers had an atypical drug test result in the past? If so, how many and why were they not disclosed? Thank you. And he adds at VADA testing, UK, VADA, WADA. All right. And so let me just pull this one up. This one. Yep. So he states, this is Victor Conti still. Boxing and Eddie Hearn need to understand in the Beterbiev case that strenuous exercise and even sleep deprivation can possibly cause atypical hormone test results. The atypical results are not reported publicly because they're not positive. And he adds VADA testing in Luckily, we have one last one last tweet we're going to look at before we open it up for discussion and we give our opinions on it. So, Steve Kim, he tweeted what Victor Conti had to say on a podcast. And so here's what Victor Conti had to say. He said atypical findings are common. Atypical findings are fairly common in drug tests and usually are not made public because they are not a positive result. Some causes of brief spikes in HGH and testosterone include sprint training and heavy squats. Beterbiev had negative tests on 12-3 December 3rd, and atypical tests on 12-6 December 6th, and then numerous negative tests shortly thereafter. He says, in my opinion, the squawking being done by Eddie Hearn seems to be more about showboating than anything else. He may be attempting to make excuses in advance in the event that his fighter loses, Victor Conti. So that's what Victor Conti had to say. IG, man, I'm turning it over to you. What's your reaction to Artur Beterbiev's atypical finding, which is not the same as an adverse finding? An adverse finding is a positive result, where atypical finding is something is out of the ordinary. So, go to you.
Yeah, so with the atypical finding, I'm not too concerned about that, only for the simple fact that, if in fact certain particular like workouts could boost your testosterone, like for example, if you're like deadlifting or doing like heavy squats or whatever, he probably implements something around those, those type of exercises in his training, or even sprints. He doesn't seem like the fastest moving, but he probably is.
Watch your mouth, G. Sprinting is his top speed, not the top speed of the top athletes.
Hey man, listen, I can't do what he does, so respect. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't be too concerned. And the fact that Eddie's the one making a big fuss out of it, like it's funny because of Conor Ben, but it also seems funny because Eddie Hearn represents Bivol. You know what I mean? So it almost seems like you want to make a big deal about this so you could cancel the Bivol Beterbiev fight. You know what I mean? Like, or to postpone it somehow. Because you're probably thinking, damn, my fight is about to get violated. So I'm not mad at Eddie for that. It's a strategy. Hey, you got to implement whatever you got to do to keep the money train going, So he's doing what he can, But the fact that this atypical finding, I don't think it's like, oh my God, he shouldn't be champion anymore, or we need to stop what we're doing and reevaluate Beterbiev's resume. Like, I don't know. I think that's foolish, man. And trust me, y'all know how I am on this show. I believe all of these guys be dirty. But for some reason, I do not believe Artur Beterbiev is a dirty fighter. He seems like an honorable fighter. So, I just don't believe this guy will stoop to that level to actually get that type of advantage when he's been doing this type of work on everybody he fought. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just feel like Eddie Hearn's looking for a reason to get out of that fight with Beterbiev.
All right, dollar bill.
Two words. He's reaching. 3 words. There's nothing there.
Just like that. Just like that. All right. So I think people have to understand that the body naturally produces hormones. That's just the way it is. And depending on what's happening to you and what you're experiencing, right, certain levels can be elevated. So, for example, let's say your body has an infection, right? If they take your blood and they ran a blood test on you, it's probable that you'd have more white blood cells, right, in your body than you normally would have, because your body's trying to heal itself, right? So it would be an atypical finding. They may say your body has more white blood cells than normal, but the explanation would be your body's trying to fight off an infection. So that's the reason why you have more white blood cells than normal, right? So if you had a strenuous workout session in which you tore your muscles, say from a heavy squat session or sprinting, it doesn't necessarily have to be sprinting, but serious exertion, you're tearing down your body. So now your body's trying to repair itself and repair the muscle, which it needs testosterone to do that. Why do you think the muscle heads in the gym are the ones who have the most testosterone, are the ones who take supplements to increase and boost their testosterone? Now, obviously, VADA is the testing agency. VADA did the test, and then they broke it down scientifically and stated that they are of the belief that the elevated levels were produced by Beterbiev's own body based on what they have, which states that they believe the cause was due to his own body and not some outside source or supplement that was ingested into his body. Unlike the supplement for Conor Ben, but Eddie Hearn runs around defending Conor Ben, but it's Conor Ben after an adverse finding, which is a positive test. Beterbiev has an atypical test, which they break down the explanation for, and Eddie Hearn is still running around saying he wants more answers. And what is that to do? That's to try to make him look better, because he's known as the guy who has the fighters who keep popping positive. So then he goes, if it was me on my show, everyone would be going crazy. Nah, nobody will be going crazy for an atypical finding. Everybody goes crazy on your show when you're holding a show because your fighters are having adverse findings for substances that aren't naturally produced in the body, like clomiphene, not HGH, which is naturally produced in your body, or testosterone, which is naturally produced in the body. If they would have said that Artur Beterbiev tested positive for a banned substance such as clomiphene, we all would have got on him. But the body fluctuates based on what it's dealing with certain hormones. That's the way it is. Several things can impact that. If you're going to go and get your blood tested, they tell you not to eat certain things within a certain time period because it can throw off the flow of the test. Eddie Hearn knows this. He's just trying to create excuses. All right. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, you can listen to our podcast on all major streaming services. And I'm gonna keep it $150 with you, man. You know, we make our own theme music here. We used to use actual songs, and then we would get flagged for copyright infringement and all types of stuff. So it was like bumping. We just make our own music. But Trill has this song out called Buckingham Palace. And even if I didn't know Trill, even if he wasn't my brother, I would still be bumping this song.
Song go on.
Yeah, I encourage you all to check it out. We are the Boxing Bros.